This is Arvind Shah, this year's 123rd rank, and this video is not exactly a video meant for UPSC, as it goes beyond it. So in this video I'll be talking about many books, and those who have a habit of book reading will enjoy this video a lot, because ये एक टाइप से it is a confluence of book reading as a habit and book reading for UPSC. One of the reasons why I started UPSC, one of the motivation for me to enter in this preparation was so that I could read books for something substantial other than just a hobby, so that nobody questions my habit. When I am reading, people will think, okay, he's doing it because he's preparing for UPSC. So this was my motivation. And today I'll be talking कि कौन सी book है, what are the books which could benefit you, and not just academically but non-academically for UPSC aspirants. So I have read around 250 books. I have a good read list where you will see a lot of below average books from which I started, then some pretty good books which actually people fear to pick. तो ऐसे सारे बुक्स मिलेंगे आपको. यू विल गेट एज ऑर्डिनरी बुक, एज ऑफ चेतन भगत, दुर्जय दत्ता एंड निकिता सिंह एंड एवरीथिंग. बट then I went beyond and read some of the good works as well of many good writers. But I'll not be talking about every one of them. Probably later Rohit and I were discussing. Rohit, by the way, is 448 ranked this year and my roommate. That probably we will have a monthly video on good books to read, not specifically meant for UPSC aspirants but youth in general. But in this video I'll be talking specifically for UPSC aspirants. So first book you should read is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. He is a very intellectual person. Like, you cannot praise him enough. There are many criticizers of him who think he just posts his knowledge, he talks without substance. But I have read 3 of his books that are Sapiens, Homo Deus and 21 Lesson for 21st Century. Every one of them is full of knowledge, full of the things which makes you think, which makes you question on pre-existing knowledge. And that is why we read books, so that we could know beyond our common sense. Sapiens is a book which will tell you how the human as a species started and how it became godly. Now they are trying to become Homo Deus. Sapiens is a Homo, but Deus means deity. And it is a journey, and he will question you many of the myths, such as why do older people rule? If the power is most powerful rule the nation, why does older people live? They are not powerful than the younger person. Most likely every prime minister is not the most powerful person in physical appearance. Why do women do not rule? So people say that they are not physically capable. Then he questions, then why do older people rule? Then was agricultural revolution a myth, or actually a good thing that happened to human? He says that it is probably the worst thing that happened to human. बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस के आपको जवाब मिलेंगे, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. और हाउ डज इट बेनिफिट यूपीएससी एस्पिरेंट? बेसिकली इट विल टेल यू हाउ ह्यूमंस वर, हाउ ह्यूमंस आर, व्हाट इज द प्रोपेलिंग फैक्टर्स. तो जब आप ऐसे में, एथिक्स में, कहीं भी, व्हेन यू आर ट्राइंग टू साउंड प्रीची, यू आर ट्राइंग टू गिव अ विजन, you should know from where humans have begun so that they can go where to a vision. तो इसमें आपको बहुत मदद करेगा अगर आप ह्यूमंस के बारे में बहुत अच्छे से जानते हैं कि हम कहाँ से शुरू हुए हैं, हमने कितनी होमो स्पीसीज को एलिमिनेट किया है. वाई डू वी कॉन्कर दिस वर्ल्ड? बिकॉज ऑफ अवर लार्ज साइज ऑफ ब्रेन और समथिंग एल्स. ही सीज दैट इट इज नॉट द लार्जेस्ट साइज ऑफ ब्रेन that has led to man becoming the superior most race of this earth. It is because we lack we have imaginative power, we believe in gossips, we can be fooled easily. So he says because we can be fooled easily, that's why we are ruling this world. It makes you question yourself, your prevalent beliefs. So this is the single most beneficial books I have read for this UPSC journey. Second book is India Unbound by Guru Charan Das. He was one time a CEO of Wix India Limited. He talks about India unbound. So it gives as if India was bound. So he tells you by the fact how India was bound between 1947 to 1990s till the economic liberalization actually started. It is a post-independent history written by a capitalist person. For example, when you write Vipin Chandra or Ramchandra Guha, you learn it by a communist perspective or a semi-nationalist perspective. But this is the history which is from capitalist perspective, and it is more sensible, I think, than the others. Then there is a book called Reimagining India. I'll come to another book of Guru Charan Das, by the way, in later sections. Reimagining India, it is a collection of a lot of essays by highly successful, highly knowledgeable persons such as Anil Dhirubhai Ambani, or for example Farid Zakaria, Guru Charan Das. Many intellectual authors have written essay on a thing that they are expert of. तो इससे आपको पहली चीज़ तो एक टॉपिक के बारे में बहुत होलिस्टिक जानकारी मिल जाएगी, रियल थिंग्स. एंड सेकंड, इट इज़ रिटन इन अ मोड ऑफ एसे. तो आपको आइडिया लग जाएगा कि आपको किसी टॉपिक पे ऐसे मिलता है तो हाउ टू राइट इट, हाउ द एक्सपर्ट्स राइट ऑन अ टॉपिक. इसलिए आप बुक पढ़िए. थर्ड इज बिपिन चंद्रा's इंडिया स्ट्रगल फॉर इंडिपेंडेंस एंड इंडिया आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस. ये बुक आई वुड नॉट पुट इट इन द टॉप मोस्ट प्रायोरिटी. अगर आपके पास टाइम है ये सब बुक पढ़ लीजिए, देन ओनली रीड इट. अदरवाइज यू कैन डी प्रायोरिटाइज इट. ऑल्सो इंडिया आफ्टर गांधी बाई रामचंद्र गुहा, ये सारी बुक आप डी प्रायोरिटाइज करके रख सकते हैं. अगर आपके पास टाइम है तो यू कुड रीड इट. दे आर मोर बेनिफिशियल फॉर यूपीएससी पर से सिलेबस वाइज. बट एक आदमी को जो बियॉन्ड यूपीएससी की बुक्स पढ़ना चाहता है एंड विच कुड बेनिफिट देम इन देयर लाइफ, these books are not much useful. They don't teach you much except the history from a very narrow perspective of communism. Then there is a book called A Brief History of Time by why do I keep forgetting the name, who just died. And it is a history from Big Bang to now of 13 point some billion 13 billion years of history, and he talks about so many things, and it will blow your mind. By the way, I'll tell the authors now if it comes in my mind while I'm shooting this video. These are the books which were full of knowledge, which expanded my mind so that I could go beyond common sense, which could differentiate myself, which helped me differentiate myself from a common man. Now are the books which have helped me keep my calm, composure. They have taught me emotional intelligence, taught me how life actually is, are sources of my happiness. So books such as Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He was a logotherapist, which is a branch of, I think, psychiatry, or I am not very sure. And he was put in a concentration camp of Nazi Germany. It is his experience and how he helps people, how he understands the meaning of the life, how he knew that when your degrees, your life's work in a paper format is lost, when you are with nothing, what do you do? How humans have immense capability to bear every atrocity, every problem, but till the moment they have not borne it, they think it is impossible. So you should read the book to know your true potential as a human, that how full of potential we are. We can almost do anything, almost bear any sorrow, any atrocity, anything whatsoever. So whenever you feel low, you should know that you are the best of species. You are probably the best of species that got evolved in this 13 billion years of history and 3 billion years of life's history. So you should never underestimate yourself as a life. You are the person who actually won the race of millions of sperm. So you should never underestimate yourself. And this book actually helps me a lot. I have gifted it to 2-3 people because I like this book too much. Another book is Happiness Unlimited by Sister Shivani. This book is important because it taught me what happiness actually could be. There is a true happiness, then there is an imaginative happiness. For example, if happiness comes when you buy a car, it will be taken away the moment your car gets a dent or gets into accident. If happiness comes because your car seat were comfortable, it will wane away when you found out that your seats are becoming old or someone put some food on it. अगर आपने हैप्पीनेस का सोर्स एक्सटर्नल बना रखा है, then it is influenced by external factors, it is blackmailed by external factors. अगर आपकी हैप्पीनेस का सोर्स आपके फॉलोअर्स हैं, they can take the happiness out of you anytime. अगर आपके सोर्स ऑफ हैप्पीनेस आपकी फैमिली, आपके लवर्स, आपकी दुनिया, आपका यूनिवर्स, कोई भी ऐरा गैरा आदमी आपकी सोर्स ऑफ हैप्पीनेस है, then he can take away. And that's why your happiness is transient, it is not permanent, it can go anytime and it can be changed, and it can be induced, it can be taken away. What is true happiness then? True happiness comes from within. And here I learned another trick of Buddhism, that you can be totally with yourself, with content, when you know that only purpose of life in this world is to breathe in and to breathe out. As long as you are able to breathe in and breathe out, इस दुनिया में कुछ और ऐसा है नहीं जो आपके साथ नहीं हो रहा है तो आपको चिंता करनी चाहिए. Because everything else was your choice, it was a societal construct. हम सक्सेसफुल नहीं, हम धनी नहीं है, अमीर नहीं है, हमारी फैमिली खराब है, हमारी फैमिली इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं है, हमारी चीटिंग हो रही है, लव धोखा दे रहा है, सारी चीज़ें कंस्ट्रक्टेड है, सोसाइटी ने कंस्ट्रक्ट करी है. चीटिंग पॉसिबल बिकॉज यू बिलीव इन पॉलीगमी, हाँ, और मोनोगमी बिलीव करते हो तो पॉलीगमी आपको बहुत चीटिंग वाला एक्सपीरियंस देती है, क्योंकि आपने फेथफुलनेस का एक सोसाइटल कंस्ट्रक्ट सीखा है. आप पुअर है इसलिए दुखी है बिकॉज रिच और पुअर का कंसेप्ट सोसाइटी ने जनरेट किया कि क्या रिच होता है, क्या पॉवर्टी होती है और क्या रिचनेस होती है. व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू इज, इन दिस वर्ल्ड एवरीथिंग इज अ चॉइस or an influence of society except your ability to breathe in and breathe out. So along with this book Happiness Unlimited, I read Buddhism sources and that gave me clarity and it helps me be happy, be content, be calm and composed and never lose the bigger picture, that is you don't matter to this universe. You matter as a life which keeps breathing in and breathing out. That is it, and everything else is just a choice or a thing that should happen. If it does not happen, it does not mean anything. If I get selected in UPSC, well and good. If I don't, then also well and good, as long as I'm breathing in and breathing out. Next book is Difficulty of Being Good by again Guru Charan Das, the author I have already introduced, who wrote India Unbound. This book is all about how difficult it is to be good in this world. It is a analysis of Mahabharata. It talks on many themes. It talks on anxiety, envy, courage, fear, a lot of emotions. So it develops a sound emotional intelligence in you, where you are able to analyze what happens when anger is uncontrolled, when envy is unnoticed, or it is subtle sometimes. Sometimes you are envious but you don't realize it. Sometimes it is a cause of greatest disaster ever committed in this history, envy. So a lot of things analyzed in Mahabharata, and it also compares it to the Western philosophy. How it is, how Yudhishthira is very similar to Socrates, how Arjuna is very similar to, I don't know about Achilles. You will learn all about it in the book. It is very well written. Summary of the notes I'll provide in the link. I made my own summary and it is extremely useful for ethics paper and also for essay in the UPSC exam. Then another book is My Experiment with Truth by Mahatma Gandhi. This book is important because it is a naked description of one's biography. There are many biographies present, and even biographies are not truthful, let alone be an autobiography. A person writes his own life and he presents it in a naked way possible, most naked way possible. That how imperfect he was, yet he tried to be truthful. He experimented with many versions of truth and finally found his own truth. You should read these books to know that the great leaders were not always great. They became great when they chose certain things to do and not to do. Then another book is Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. It is a book which I have read twice. One time I read it because I was very depressed and negative, and I knew this book would help me, and it did. In 2 hours of time I became full of energy, full of positivity, because this book takes you away from this world. It presents you a picture where you know that nothing else matters than you. There is nothing but sorrow, and attachments are the sources of the sorrow. Basically all about Buddhism. A person who wants to be like Buddha becomes something else and other things. It is so beautifully written. The language is so beautiful that you can replicate it in your essay or ethics, something like that. So it is useful that way. So these second section books were Man's Search for a Meaning, Happiness, Unlimited, Difficulty of Being Good, My Experiment with Truth, and Siddhartha. These books were useful in managing my emotions and to know myself. Now third category of books are self-help books, or how to manage your life better in a sorted way. First book is Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. This book is important because I was a person who thought that saying no is a bad thing, and even if I knew that saying no is a good thing, there I did not know how to say it. So this book teaches you two things: saying no is a good thing, how to say no, and third, how to not give a ... because he says that you have very less fucks to give. If you keep giving it to anyone whatsoever, you will be left with very few fucks or no. And after a point of time, you will realize that you have nothing for yourself. You lived your life for other people so much that you forgot to live for yourself. It teaches you how to be selfish and why it is okay to be selfish. It also teaches you how to know by a principle called making rules instead of excuses. So suppose someone comes and asks you for a bike. There is a tendency if you want to, first you will not know that it is okay to say no. Second, you will not know how to say no, so you will make excuses. So there is no petrol, or I have to go somewhere, someone else had already asked for it, or it is due for servicing. All these excuses either are false, or they appear false, or they will be countering it with another evidence. For example, they will come again another day and say, now is your bike available? Now either make the same excuses appear a liar, or you set a rule. Just tell them, I don't give my bikes to anyone. No excuses, no explanation, nothing. I don't give my bikes to others. He will not mind it much because he knows now that it is a rule. You are not just denying him, you are denying the universe. So if one thing can be denied for universe, who is he to be an exception? He will understand it and he will accept it, he will respect it, and he will never ask the bike from you again. A supremely intelligent way of saying no is to set rules and make it very clear what are your rules, instead of making excuses. And be very clear, very respectful when telling the rules. Be assertive yet humble. Then there is another book called Think and Grow Rich, and it is a book I read a couple of years ago, so I am forgetting much of the content, but I know very well that it helped me how to think and how the thoughts are possible, how the successful people think. So I will totally suggest this book for if you have the interest in how to think and how the successful people think. What is the difference between my thinking and their thinking? Then another book is by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It is a very large book. It gives you 7 habits. You could get it in the summary as well, but my point is read the book if you have time, because if he could also give the summary, why did he write the book? What was the point of writing the large book if he could just give a page and write 7 habits? so don't fall for it. He gives the habit, he gives so much explanation that why these habits are one of the best, why you should keep improving your skills, how to keep improving the skills, how the successful people develop these habits. All these things he covers very well. So if you have time, read it. Another book is Tuesdays with Morrie. It is a book where a dying man discusses the life with a young man. So it is a perspective. What do people think when they are dying? How they assess their life? Some of the things that we worry too much right now, if we could just think that it is so futile to think on the deathbed, it will not even matter how much attempts it took to clear UPSC, or even if you did not clear UPSC, what did you do? Probably it might matter a mat to deathbed, but one attempt or two does not matter much. One lost love, or one cheating experience, or one unsuccessful day, or one successful year does not matter much to a bigger picture when you are in deathbed. This book is all about life. How do older people see the life? How a person who has experienced his life assesses his, and what is his advice to younger people. Tuesdays with Morrie is a good book. Now there are some books which I think are a little bit debated because they are philosophical. They take a clear view of things which actually might be different for other people. But these are my favorite books, and that's why I suggest to read. One book is either read The Fountainhead or Atlas Shrugged. Both are massive books. For example, Fountainhead is 800 pages long, and Atlas Shrugged is 1100 pages long. It took me a month or so to complete. But after completing the book, I did not regret it even a bit. So read one of the books. If you are fan of reading big books, read the Atlas Shrugged. If you are not fan of a big book, read Fountainhead. Both are written by Ayn Rand. It is a capitalist philosophy and objectivism. It shows why rational mind is better suited, and why it is a rebuttal of communism specifically, and it makes you question much of the things that you know or it's prevalent in the society. Another book is Animal Farm, written by George Orwell, also 1984. Again, both books have a similar theme, but their stories are very unique. One is very lucid, explained in a simple language, but other book 1984 is a book, I think probably the best book ever written, and I think you should read it. And those books talks about the perils of authoritarian regime, totalitarian regimes, how bad they can get, and how it is necessary that you put an end to their advancement in the early stages, or you might get subsumed by it. Last book which I would suggest is Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. I want you to read his biography, because he is one of the person who did so many things with utter brilliance. He invented many things. He became Secretary of State or something. He was a very good intellectual. So intellectual, philosopher, scientist, politician. He was almost everything which we achieve. And he writes it how he did it, how he was able to manage so many things. So it is a wonderful book that you should read. This is all about this video. I have tried to limit the list of books, because I could expand it to so many books, because I have read many books. So that is it, and I wish you all the best. And tell me in the comments if you have read some of the books, and how do you assess them. And after this video, if you read some books because of it, also tell in the comments that how much actually did it help. If you disagree with me on certain books, you can also write in the comments, and we will debate. It is okay to have different views on the books. All right, thank you.